next up we have Kate Montero, who wants to give us a little history of a lot of the history that I did not know about the strong presence of LGBTQIA plus activism and just social life in Woonsocket over the last century. So I'm really excited to hear a lot of this. Welcome, Kate.
I want to be clear, I was not here for the last century. Happy Pride! Woonsocket, if this is your first Pride here, welcome home. We've been waiting for you. If this is your first Pride as your full, authentic self, welcome home. You know, today, as you've heard, is the 52nd anniversary of the Pride, of the Stonewall Uprising, right? And that's when trans and bisexual and youth and lesbian and even some gay men in a bar called the Stonewall on a night that was slightly cooler than it is today, stood up and said no more. They stood up and they fought back. And our history, when anything makes it into our history books, it makes it seem like the Stonewall Uprising is where it started. And it makes it seem that that is where it started, in New York, and not a place like here, like Woonsocket. I'm going to tell you a story. Two stories, actually. I want you to cast your mind back to 1960 in Woonsocket. For those of you who are a little math challenged, that's 61 and a half years ago, right? Probably your grandmother's age. There was a place called Zanzibar. And Zanzibar was a place where they had weddings, receptions, and they had Kiwanis club dinners over and over and over again in the 1950s and the 1960s. But in the early 60s, in 1960 itself, the cops started taking an interest in Zanzibar because in the evening, late in the evening, after the receptions were over, there were people who came and drank and danced at Zanzibar. And first the cops tried saying, well, you're open after hours. And then the cops tried, did you know it was once illegal in the state of Rhode Island if you were serving alcohol to have dancing on Sundays? And so the cops would wait until 12:02 and look in the windows. And if they saw somebody dancing, somebody's in trouble. And this went on with Zanzibar until the mayor of Woonsocket formed a special police squad. And that squad first was hidden, but people figured it out. That squad's purpose, stated purpose in the Providence Journal, so it's official. That squad's purpose was to rid Woonsocket of undesirable homosexuals. And they kept showing up. The Club Zanzibar, now mind you, they're still holding wedding receptions. They are still having Kiwanis Club's dinners. And in the evening, the cops are coming in 20, 30, 40 times a week. They are asking middle-aged people to show their identification at the door. These are probably people who are closeted. Are you going to show a cop your driver's license?
We don't talk to cops now.
Right? Okay. So what did they do? The owner of Zanzibar went to the Superior Court and sued the police, wanted an injunction against the police department in 1960. And what he said was, you are violating my patrons' constitutional rights and civil rights. And he stood up, and they stood up, and they went to court. And I'd like to tell you they won, but I can't. But they went, and they stood up, and they tried. And the Zanzibar, unfortunately, went out of business because they kept getting closed for minor infractions. Go ahead to 1963. There's a club called the Holiday Inn. Zanzibar was at 754 Front Street, where Peking, Tokyo is right now. The Holiday Inn was on East Mill Street, right across the street from the big mill that made those really cool glass Christmas ornaments. You know, the retro Christmas ornaments?
Tinseltown.
What?
Tinseltown.
Tinseltown, Colby, I think is the name. The Holiday Inn didn't have Kiwanis Club meetings. The Holiday Inn was a gay club. It was a known gay club. They were unabashedly gay. And the cops decided that that's their next target. They'd run Zanzibar out. They were going to run the Holiday Inn out. The Holiday Inn owner took that court case to the Rhode Island Supreme Court. And we know what happened in that gay bar because there's testimony of men kissing and dancing and embracing, and women kissing and dancing and embracing, of neighbors complaining that they were kissing and dancing and embracing in the street outside. That was Woonsocket. That was 1963. That was 58 years ago. There were queers in this town who were strong enough that in the face of the police, they continued.
And we're still here! Still here!
I want to read you something. So in that Supreme Court case, Supreme Court of the state of Rhode Island, they didn't go to Washington. Okay. This is, sorry, I hate it when people do it, but it's hot and my papers are all sticky. The Supreme Court said this: the Holiday Inn had become attractive as a gathering place for deviants of both sexes, a virtual house of assignation for perverts. This obviously induced these unfortunate people to flock to a place where they could be assured that their conduct would be tolerated and where any residual reluctance to participation would be wiped away. They have always feared us. 60 years ago, today, the mayor then, the mayor now. They have feared us. They have feared our sexuality, but they have always feared our gathering. As much as they're worried about who we love, they are panicked that we know each other, that we love each other, that we as a community find unity and strength. So I ask you to do this, an anniversary of Pride. Remember, you are not the first queers in Woonsocket. You are not the first to fight back. Let us find a day when we are able to say we're the last that had to fight back. Be blessed, be strong, kiss whoever the hell you want. Don't stop dancing. And remember, Woonsocket owns Pride as much as the Stonewall Inn does.
much, Kate. Thank you so much, Kate. Yes.